I know that fall is technically a month away, but to me, September 1st is the beginning of fall. This year, I started it even earlier. I saw the Starbucks pumpkin spice creamer. There's only one left, and it's like an almond oat mix, so I was happy about that. I had to grab that, and I've been drinking that and loving it. Been to Timmy's. I've had my fall donuts from Timmy's. I've had my pumpkin spice ice cap. I'm in the mood for it. So all my fall TBR books are gonna be in this video. I'm really feeling the vibe, so I think a lot of these are gonna fit with what you might expect to read in fall. I have some sci-fi, I think some historical fantasy in here as well, some other fantasy, just some more moody, atmospheric reads. I'm not gonna include any of the books that are on my most anticipated list that come out during the fall, because I do separate videos on those, but I will be reading a lot of those as well. So we'll just dive right into this. I've been so excited to film this, been loving watching everybody else's fall TBRs. Everybody is shopping right now at TJ Maxx. I'm so jealous. I wish we had TJ Maxx in Canada. We do have Winners and HomeSense, so I have to get there eventually, but seeing all the fall stuff that's out there, all the bookish community getting excited for fall, this is my favorite time of year in this community, so let's start. The first book of my fall TBR is a book that I'm reading for my book club. Me, along with some fellow booktubers, started a book club. It's called the Book Checkout Book Club. I will link the announcement video down below if you want to get all the details, but we will be reading our first book in September and then having our live show in October, so I'll keep you up to date. But our first book is Unconquerable Sun by Kate Elliott, and Kate Elliott is an author I've heard of but never read from, and I just have a good feeling about her work. And it says born to conquer, destined to rule, and this just sounds fantastic, and I'm excited to buddy read it with everyone. So if you want to learn more about the book itself, I read the synopsis in that video. If you want to join the Discord, I will link that down below. I created an Instagram account for the book club as well, so I am so excited. I have been neglecting sci-fi this year, but I know that when I really want sci-fi and crave sci-fi is in the fall. So I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to fall in love with Kate Elliott and read everything that she's ever written, so let's do this thing. And then I have a couple sequels. My summer sequels is going pretty well. I'm learning a lot about myself and about sequels in general, but I want to continue it into the fall and really focus on this goal because I've been really committed to it lately, and I will be filming like an update video for you soon. So I will share the books that I've read over the summer that are sequels in that video and tell you everything I learned, but there's a couple I want to get to before that. So the first one is The Hidden Palace by Helene Wecker. And this is one that I've been saving for late August, early September, because even just this cover, you know it has the vibes. This is the sequel to The Golem and the Jinni, and it came out 9 years after the first book, so you know a lot of thought went into this. You could tell in the first book how much research and care Helene Wecker put into writing that book, and it's just so obvious. So I'm excited to see what happens from here, because if you read the first one, you will know that the ending is pretty satisfying. I think that could stand alone, but the fact that we're getting these sequels, we get to see these two characters again, just makes me really happy. And the first book follows a Golem and a Jinni, and they both end up in New York. I think it's the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's really about the immigrant experience. We get their stories and the way they are treated and how they're dealing with having to pretend to be human and what humanity means to them, but we're also getting side stories from other immigrants in New York at that time. And we're getting stories of the Golem and the Jinni's creators. So there's a lot going on. It's brilliant. No idea what to expect from this one. I haven't read the back. I'm just ready to read it. Again, it's a bit longer, but I feel like you can really sink into bigger books in the fall. And spoiler for a future video, but I just read Malice by John Gwynne, and that showed me I can read bigger books. So I'm excited about that one. Then the other sequel, again, is a bigger book. This is The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. Tasha Suri is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. The first book in this series, The Jasmine Throne, was one of my favorite books of 2021. It's pretty amazing that a huge book like this with great world building, great character development, that we only had to wait a year in between. And it was a long wait for me, but we were blessed. So I am excited about this. A lot of people who loved the first one say this one's even better. There's been a lot of hype for this already, even though this just came out. I've been seeing some stellar reviews, and Tasha Suri wrote What Souls Are Made Of, which is one of those remix books that I always talk about, and it's been my favorite of those so far. So I just know that I connect with Tasha Suri's writing. This is sapphic as well, so there's great romance brewing and here, but really the politics at play. It's about a princess who is being kind of prisoned by her brother, and then like a maidservant that is pushing against what is expected of her and the world in general, and they come together. And I think the first one was a really good setup, but I know that this one's gonna be more adventurous and I can't wait to experience it. Two more physical ones. I do have a few audiobooks and ebooks that I wanna read as well. This is the newest book on my shelf. I had this pre-ordered. It is from my 5-star prediction video that I think I posted in January, and I need to catch up on. So I'm actually thinking of doing a reading vlog where I read a few of the 5-star predictions that I have left, and this is one of them, so I will be getting to that. I've been seeing mixed reviews, but I'm hopeful. I think I'm more forgiving of romances that are just fun, who might have a relatable character who's a little bit annoying. I think I can get behind that stuff pretty easily, so I'm open to it. This is following a young woman whose next door neighbor she suspects to be a serial killer because she's really into true crime, but then they have a romance somehow. And even people who haven't loved this have said that the love interest Sam is one of the best love interests they ever read. So I think I'm gonna love this. I think anybody who loves true crime or had a past of loving true crime, I used to love true crime, I've rarely moved away from it in recent years, but if you relate to that in any way, this might be worth checking out. But I will have a reading vlog, I think, for this in the coming weeks. And then this next one is one I haven't heard much about, but I saw the cover and I purchased it a few months ago, and it's really calling to me, and I do have access to the audiobook as well, so I think I'm gonna immersion read this. But this is The Seakeeper by Diane Wilson. This says it's a beautifully told story of reawakening and follows a Dakota family's struggles to preserve their way of life and one woman's search for belonging and community. And when I did look this up on Goodreads, it had fantastic reviews. Again, a longer book, but one that I've been saving for fall and think will be a really moving read. And look at that cover, it's just stunning. So I'm really excited about this, and definitely will be listening to the audio and following along. The first audiobook that I downloaded is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare, and this was really popular when it came out. I remember everybody was reading this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the impression that this is middle grade, but I'm not too sure about that. And I know that the second book just came out and everybody's reading that, so I'm really falling into the hype for this. And my biggest fear of all time are clowns. I cannot stand clowns. It's that era, like 10 years ago, where people were running in the street in clown costumes. I was in university at the time. It was horrible for me. I hate clowns so much, always have. My grandpa had a room with clowns. He watches these videos. You know that's true, Grandpa. I remember that room when we were kids with the clowns. It was terrifying for me. So yeah, that is on my list, and I don't know anything about it other than it's clowns in a cornfield, and I want to scare myself this October, so that is the way to do it for me. I've really rediscovered a love for cozy mysteries this year. I used to read them as a kid. I used to like that Cat Who series, but I've really fallen in love with them again, and this one looks so fun. It is called Baking Bad, and this is by Kim M. Watt, and it's a longer series. They always are, these cozy mystery series. And the next one is a Christmas one. So I want to read this one, then prepare for the Christmas one, because I'm already thinking of my Christmas TBR. But this is giving me like cozy fantasy vibes that I've been loving this year as well. I'm getting like Legends and Lattes sort of vibes, because you would just look at this cover and think it's a typical cozy mystery, but this one has dragons. And I think the dragon likes to bake, and there's tea. Let me read the synopsis to you. I remember thinking it's so cute. It says it's a funny cozy mystery with dragons for anyone that likes their mysteries gentle and well stocked with cake, tea, and friendship, and dragons, obviously. So yeah, that is me, speaks to me. I'm gonna read this, and the punny title, I just watched Breaking Bad, I just watched Better Call Saul, so the stars aligned for me on that one. This next one is getting a lot of buzz on Bookstagram and in the blogging world that I am in, and it just, again, this looks like a cozy mystery kind of book that is gonna work for me. And I've heard the found family trope is next level. And this is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sanju Mandana. And just look at it, it looks like the perfect fall vibes for me. And it says it's a warm and uplifting novel about an isolated witch whose opportunity to embrace a quirky new family and a new love changes the course of her life. So I think if you just need a warm hug, if you need something in between all the horror that you plan to read this fall, and I'm just realizing I didn't put a lot of horror on here. I'm sure I will read some, it's just not what's calling to me at the moment. But if you need something to break up that horror, this looks like the perfect one, and I've seen so many 5-star reviews. And it just came out as well. This next book I do own, but I don't have my copy here, and that is The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. Another one that gets mixed reviews, but I think I'm going into it with the right expectations and I'm really going to enjoy this. I think it's kind of got dark academia vibes. I read a book from Olivia Blake earlier this year, but it was under her real name, and it's called Mechanical Romance, and I did enjoy that, but that was YA Contemporary, so I'm excited to read something more adult from her, more dark, more fantasy, and I just want to see where I fall, because I know everybody has mixed opinions on that one, and I think that'll probably be a popular book this October, this fall, so I want to get it on the hype for that one. And then of course, I have to put Babble on here. I have to be like everybody else. I need to read Babble by R.F. Kuang. I am actually buddy reading that with some people in the blogging world and on Bookstagram, but I think our chat's on Twitter, but you don't need to know all that information. But I am buddy reading that in October. I promised I would wait. There are 6 of us, we're waiting, we're holding out. So that'll happen, and I think that'll be a smart choice. I think October is probably the prime time to read Babble, and maybe some of the hype will die down. Probably not, but we will see. And I watched so many reading vlogs, spoiler-free reading vlogs of that already. Got so hyped for that, so I can wait a month longer. I can do it. So I'm gonna be reading Babble, of course. And then the last one I put on here is just looks like a campy, fun time, and it's Suburban Hell by Maureen Kilmer. And this is being described as the movie Bad Moms meets Grady Hendrix's My Best Friend's Exorcism. So if that doesn't sell you on this, if the title doesn't sell you on this, and the cover doesn't sell you on this, I don't know what will, but the tagline says it's a Chicago cul-de-sac is about to get a new neighbor of the demonic kind. So this just looks hilarious, fun for me. So I'm noticing a theme that the books that I'm drawn to this year are kind of quirky, fun, a bit lighter than you might think for a fall TBR, and then the ones that are heavier, more fantasy, less horror. So I don't know what that's about. So those are the books that are on my fall TBR. I think that's manageable. I will read other things, of course, but I think I'm really gonna try to get those read this fall, really stick to the TBR this time, because there's not one of the book on this list that I'm not really hyped about. So I wanna do it, and I'm gonna try and stick to doing reading vlogs as well, so you'll see all my thoughts as I get through this TBR. Let me know what books are on your fall TBR. If you filmed a fall TBR video, let me know. I'd love to watch it. They're some of my favorites to watch, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks for all the support. Bye for now.